All right, I think we can go ahead and get started here. Thank you so much for joining our remote worker network monitoring webinar hosted by NetBeez. And today, if you have any questions, then you can use the Q&A button or ask any questions in the chat, and we will be answering them during the webinar through chat, and then also have a specific Q&A section at the end of the webinar where we will answer all questions about the remote worker and the demo. So feel free to also wait until the end to ask. All right, let's get started.
All right.
Yep. Next slide. There we go. Okay, so today our speakers are both from NetBeez. We have Panico and Greg, our CTO and CMO, and both are pictured working from home because just makes sense with this webinar, and that's what we've been doing for a while now anyway. So I will let Greg take it away from here.
Thanks, Jess. Let's go to the next slide. Just as a heads up, the winds are pretty high here in Silicon Valley this morning. So hopefully we've got a little bit of a power line issue problem. It's been well publicized. We'll make this pretty quick. We'll talk about the current trends. Some of you are on this webinar because you're already familiar with them. We'll talk about what that means in terms of the new problems to solve. We'll kind of, Panico will take us through the NetBeez solution, use cases and demo. And then we'll get really as quickly as possible to the Q&A where you can ask Panico your questions. So next slide, please. Let's talk about the trends. So look, the new normal, right? There's all kinds of news about the networkers, people working from remote and the net impacts, right? So we're all familiar with that. Upwork just published a survey literally within the last week or two, projecting that there's about up to 23 million households that are leaving their cities, where their employers are, to work from remote, and almost half of them more than 4 hours away. So if you're looking to build a business case of what these dynamics are, you can go to the NetBeez blog, and we have links to lots of this content. Next slide, please. So PwC conducted a survey earlier this year about how many people won't return, right? And it really surprised everyone. We were in an analyst briefing just about a week ago, talking to one of the top analysts in the network monitoring space, and he advised that actually their estimates are even higher than this. In other words, the trend is growing. So Upwork's projections of from 13 to 23 million is much closer now to reality than what even PwC thought a few months ago. Next slide. So where will this trend, what industries are seeing this the most? Well, financials, technology, professional services, even the public sector, who you'd think would be most locked into location. No, they're even as prone, to remote work as well, highly prone, as well as, healthcare. So these industries are really the ones that are already remote ready, and we're probably going to see the greatest impact on them across all the different verticals. Next slide, please. So really, what it comes down to is what are the net impacts, right? So you have these people that have been working in headquarters on these very well managed, corporate high-powered WANs where they're within the reach at minimum of an elevator trip, right, to get to a desk. Now compare that to the home network users that have consumer-grade network equipment, VoIP, video conferencing, ISP outages and issues, low performance, and not just one ISP, but some of them have backhaul complexity as well. You've got VPNs, yet how many companies are really prepared to scale VPNs and support VPNs into massive numbers of thousands? Then you've got that whole, like I talked about, the 6th floor, 10th floor elevator trip drop in where you can go right to their desk. Instead, users are describing these issues the best they can. and they're not that often are they technically accurate, right? So then you have the dynamic of productivity being even more driven by digital experience, by bandwidth, and simple, straightforward apps, access to apps. It could be anywhere, really. And that's a really big shift from 5-10 years ago. So when all this adds up, you've got more complaints, you've got higher costs, strain on help desk. So next slide, we'll kind of talk about that. So this is a survey, thank you HDI, on the IT operations cost from local service desks and desktop support once you get out in the field and to third-party van rolls. And you can see the relationship. So not only do you have the increasing incidents, and we conducted a survey in spring and we saw a 50% jump in complaints to those surveyed, but then you've got a close to 5 to 10x increase in cost per ticket. So that's what really is being felt in financial services and tech companies that and those others that are embracing remote work. So Panico, could you take us to the next slide?
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Greg. Great market analysis, and it looks like work from home, work from anywhere is here to stay. So as COVID happened, our customers and prospects were asking us what we can do to help them with the increasing issues that they were facing and with their overnight transition to work from home. And based on our experience and the feedback from our customers, we compiled this list of key capabilities that are required by any organization that wants to roll out a successful remote initiative. So the first one that needs to be addressed is network connectivity. So the ability to test your network from the user's location. So in this case, from the user's homes, and you need to be able to get the performance throughput to the internet, as well as the VPN, where sometimes organizations have a full tunnel VPN or a split tunnel where some traffic goes to the internet and some traffic goes to the VPN, and you need to be able to identify and pinpoint where the performance issues are coming. Is it the ISP, or is it the data center, or is it the VPN, and so on. The second one is the ability to be able to check the availability and performance of your applications that your users need to be able to access to be productive. So that includes DNS checks, includes ping to check if there is network connectivity to the applications, as well as HTTP tests and transactions to understand whether your application is working as expected. The third one, and which is a very important point, is the ability to monitor VoIP calls, the ability basically to understand if the network is able to support VoIP calls. So in that case, you need metrics like packet loss, jitter, understand latency, and how those are degrading the voice and video service quality. So, and finally, we talked about how you can monitor your ISP and your data center, but in order to get the full picture, you also need to get the local area network performance. And in the case of users working from home, most of the time is they're using their Wi-Fi, right? So the ability to collect Wi-Fi metrics and detect performance issues so that you can isolate where the problem lies is very important. So you need metrics like signal strength, noise, and channel utilization to understand if there are Wi-Fi issues. So based on our analysis, we went ahead and we implemented our remote worker agent. So this is basically our NetBeez agent being able to run on user devices. So we now support Microsoft Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux devices. And these sensors are able to give you network availability, measure latency, throughput, and packet loss, understand whether the VPN is up or down, and then give you performance of DNS and HTTP, as well as voice over IP. And coming up in our next release will be the ability to measure Wi-Fi metrics from your user's laptop, as well as cloud VoIP performance, where we will continuously be able to provide network engineers with metrics like jitter and MOS continuously to their Wi-Fi providers. Sorry, to their voice over IP providers. So now with the work from home agent, we're able to close the loop where you will be able to monitor your network and your users' experience from home on Linux, Mac, and Windows, test their VPN connections to your on-prem sites, like your data center, and then also use our network agents to be able to monitor your remote office locations for those who have usage there as well, even now during this pandemic. And then on the public cloud side, you can deploy our cloud agents to make sure that all the websites, all the VoIP and web conferencing applications and internet connectivity and SaaS applications are available and ready to use by your users. And we provide all that information through our web-based dashboard. So now let me take you through, I'm sorry, before going to the demo, it's time for some, for our troubleshooting guide and fault isolation away. So we provide you with a way to understand how to isolate the problem. So let's say you're monitoring your applications and an issue arises on a remote application and you want to understand what's the cause. So then you start to drill down by understanding whether this is a localized issue in one region for a group of users, or if this is a global issue, is this affecting all the users? So in the case of a localized issue, you either have multiple users in one region having the problem or one user. In the case of one user, it means that is most probably the problem is at the user's home location, where it might be a Wi-Fi connection or router issue, or ISP bandwidth, where the bandwidth to the user's home is not enough to support the applications. If it's a group of users in a region, it might be an ISP regional routing issue, and this way you'll be able to escalate to the right ISP. Now, if it's a global issue, it might be either on the network layer or the application layer. So if it's on the network layer, which means that your ping test will most probably be failing, it's most likely something on the data center or public cloud network. If it's on the application layer, so looking at HTTP connectivity issues, then it might be something to do with the server hardware, the operating system, or the application cloud provider. So with this kind of methodology and adding this as part of your playbook, you will be able to escalate to the right entity in your organization or outside your organization if it's not in your control to resolve this issue as fast as possible. All right, so now I will take you through a demo of our dashboard, just a high-level overview of things. So here is the first tab. Here is the bus tab, which gives you a high-level view of all your sensors, your targets, which are the resources, and as well as the Wi-Fi networks that you may have on premises. And this gives you kind of a 24-hour view of how things are going. Now, in terms of agents and targets, we said that agents represent locations in your network. So here we have network agents. These are the ones that you deploy on premises, could be hardware, wireless, software, virtual, containers, or it could be cloud agents as well on different clouds. And then you have your remote worker agents, where these are your Windows, your Macs, and so on, laptops of your users that you're monitoring their connectivity. Then on the target side, you have all your applications and all the resources that you want to be able to know their status at any point in time from how the agent sensors are testing them. So this could be Salesforce or different websites of your organization, applications that you want your users to be able to access. Now, if we go and see, for example, inside of one of these agents, how it looks, these are all the tests that this agent is continuously running to monitor your applications. So here we have ping, DNS, HTTP, and traceroute, and you can see here how the performance is for the last few minutes. You get an average 24-hour average, or whatever time window you choose to see here. So you can see the latency here, DNS, you see the time to resolution. On the HTTP, time to get a website, and on the traceroute, you see the number of hops. And then on this test, you configure your alerts to see up-down alerts or performance alerts to see if the long-term average versus the short-term average is being violated by a lot. Then you can trigger an alert. All right, so let's look at a specific scenario of how you can use our dashboard and our data to isolate an issue and understand what's the problem. So let's look at this scenario. Hema is one of our sales account executives at NetBeez, working from home in Oakland, California, and she's on ISP X, and she's complaining about the voice quality on video conferencing. So she's been having problems. Video conferencing service is hosting on a public cloud, and during her calls there were many delays or being cut out and so on. And so we were trying to isolate the problem to understand what's the issue. Is it her home area, her home network? Is it the ISP, or is it something on the voice provider, voice and video provider? So here are the steps. First of all, let's see what are the alerts that we are receiving on this user. What we notice is that we got a lot of ping up-down alerts and a lot of performance alerts on ping, as well as HTTP on all of the applications that we were monitoring. So in this case, the next step would be to check the traceroute test and see if there are any routing changes. And what we noticed is that there were some actually routing changes on the ISP side, and we were able to escalate this to the ISP. So the way we did that step by step was that here you can see on November 12th, the issue started at 1:45 p.m. That's when we got the alert. Actually, it's 1:48. The ping test was failing. So, and then you can see here the failure. Then things came back, but the performance was very choppy and the latency was very high. As you can see, as compared to the blue line here, which is the 24-hour average. So you can see here, it was normal, it dropped, and then performance degraded. So then we went to see what's going on the traceroute side. So we see here at 1:42, which is before the incident happened. This is the normal traceroute going through Comcast routers. And then we noticed that here at 1:46, when everything was down, traceroute was failing as well. And then at 1:48, we got a new traceroute that had 24 hops. So that's basically more than double the number of hops as before. So then when we look at these 24 hops, it looks like the first hop outside of our user's network goes to a completely different ISP. So that means that there was an outage on her local ISP, and all her packets were being rerouted, and that caused a significant degradation in performance. So let me show you real quick how you can get this information from our dashboard. So here is Hema's laptop. Let's go back to the date where this incident happened and see where this alert is. So it was November 12, around 1:48. You can see here we found exactly where the alert happened. And then going to the traceroute test, we go to look at the history, go to the right date, and then you can even see here the dropped traceroutes and so on. So here we have the 11 hops, and here we have the 24 hops, and you can easily understand where is the problem and how the packets get routed. All right. So that's it with our demo and use case scenario. So I'll pass it back to Jess.
All right. So for the Q&A, we have a couple questions here that if you and Stefano would like to go through and answer. The first question is, what sort of Wi-Fi metrics are you going to provide?
Yeah, so we already provide a lot of metrics on our hardware agents, but now we want to extend that to our remote worker agents. So we will be able to give things like SSID and BSSID that the agent is connected to, the RSSI, noise, link quality, bitrate, channel and channel frequency, as well as the MCS.
Thanks. Another question is, which VPN clients have you tested / do you support? And F5, Edge Client, Global, Protect, etc.
Well, since NetBeez tests on top of any established routing, we are basically able to test over any of these VPN vendors. We are basically vendor agnostic. So any VPN service you're using, it would be supported.
All right, next question. How easy is the agent to install? Can it be pushed out via a centralized management system?
Yes, so we have a package. We have our agent packaged with as an MSI installer, and it can be used to pre-configure some variables, and then the administrator, your system's administrator, can push them through the InVision or whatever management system they are using to all their laptops easily and quick.
All right. Question from Craig. With regards to the 20-minute test or 20 test limit, does each test ping HTTP, tracery, DNS against a defined target count against the 20 test limit? Any thoughts on increasing the test limit from 20 tests?
So yeah, we do have a 20 test limit for the remote worker agents, and those are for as a total of all your ping, DNS, HTTP, and traceroute tests against the whatever targets you have set up. Increasing the limit would not be. We don't want to really increase that limit because we don't want our sensor agent process to be to have any performance to cause any performance degradation on your laptop. So we are keeping that, you know, nice and easy to keep things under control. Even though the average CPU is 1% and the RAM required right now is about 50 megabytes for each agent. But we want to keep the number of tests limited so that you can scale your solution to thousands of remote workers.
All right. I'm not sure if you added this, Panico, but Stefano also added that the average CPU is 1% and the RAM is 50 megabytes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think that's all the questions that we have for right now. If anyone has any additional questions, you can always reach out to us at info@netbeez.net, or if you go right to our site on netbeez.net, we have intercom in the bottom right-hand corner where someone from the NetBeez team will answer any questions you have or would be able to show you a demo of our dashboard and all the things that we went over today. So thank you so much for attending our webinar, and we will hopefully see you next time.
All right. Yeah, thanks everybody.